To start by singing hymn 123, Spirit of Life. Please rise, embody your spirit, and join me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots holy grows, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to
Please join me in our chalice lighting words. Are they? No, they're here. In these hard times, let us look first to the response of love. In the midst of challenge, may our chalice flame bear witness to the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. In the midst of uncertainty, may our chalice be a beacon of encouragement, that our values may guide our choices. Let us look first to the response of love. Thank you. Welcome, and good morning. Welcome to St. John's Unitarian Universalist Church on this frigidly cold day. Take a minute, settle in, and take a breath as we transition from entering to being in this space. We recognize and welcome that we are a congregation united in love even as we are separated in space. And we welcome those in this room as well as those online. My name is Melissa Rowland. I serve in the mission of this church as the president of the Board of Trustees. I'm also your worship associate this morning. If you're here for the first time or the 50th time, you are welcome in this shared sacred space we create together. Today, we are swapping pulpits with Heritage Universalist Unitarian Church. So our interim minister, Reverend Jen Grayson, will be there this morning. We are happy to welcome Reverend Bill Gupton, senior minister at Heritage Universalist Unitarian Church, to our church this morning. Reverend Gupton has served there since 2002. Since 2016, he has also been directing and managing Heritage Acres Memorial Sanctuary on the east side of town, Cincinnati's only natural or green burial ground. As Unitarian Universalists, we are guided not by one particular book or holy text, but rather by the journey we are on together. Each month, we explore one theme and how it applies to our lives and our journey. This month, we are exploring liberating love. The services you hear this month will touch on that theme in some way. We hope you will join us for a variety of services and perspectives. No matter who you are, no matter how you love, you are welcome here in our religious community. Please stand as you're willing or able and join us in singing hymn 163.
For the earth forever burning, for the sky
Please join me in saying our affirmation. This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands. Now is our time for joys and concerns. If this is your first time here, what we do is we'll come up and select a stone from the bowl for a joy or sorrow and place it in the sand. If you have something you'd like spoken from the pulpit, please either text it in the chat online if you're online, or leave a paper near the sand and we'll say it from the pulpit. Thank you. I placed one additional stone for joys or concerns not spoken. We do have, let's see, nothing online, right? Okay. We do have one joy to celebrate today. Jan Hay will be celebrating a very special birthday this Tuesday. What is it, the 29th? Now is the time for the story for all ages. Ashley Rhodes will come forward. If you're young in age or at heart, please come forward for the story for all ages.
We don't have the handheld microphone, so I'm gonna have to tell a story from up here. So the story for today is based on a picture book called Noticing by Kobe Yamada, which is not in the building, despite my best efforts. But we're gonna talk about basically the same thing. So, here it is. This story is about a little girl, and who met someone in the woods. And the first thing that the person said was, "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" Now, the little girl had been having kind of not so hot of a day. And so she said, "Well, I guess so." She didn't see anything that special about it. But the painter said, but the person was sitting in front of an easel and painting, and she said, "Oh, no, it's a beautiful day. Everything is here."
Okay.
A little bit easier for us to talk. So, y'all are in the woods, and you've met this painter, and it seems like a boring regular day to you, right? We've been in the, you guys gone to the park lately, been in the woods lately? Yeah. You know, same stuff's always there, right? Trees, you know. So, but the painter says, but it's a beautiful day. We have the birds, and we have the what ifs, and we have the why nots, and we have all of the things that we can imagine. And the little girl looks at what the painter's painting, and you know what? The little girl just sees clouds. But guess what was on the easel? Guess what was in the painting? What?
He saw a big whale soaring through the sky like a calling bird.
She was painting a whale soaring through the sky like a calling bird. What else? What else might she have seen in the clouds? Go ahead, tell me, Jude. Okay. The whale? I'm not going to say it. Okay. Go ahead, Meredith. Anything?
Everything.
Well, she saw dragons and whales.
One big dragon that was breathing fire.
Yes, one big dragon that was breathing fire. She saw flowers and fire. She saw crashing waves. So, and all of those things she saw because she was noticing. And so then she talked to the little girl, and she said, well, I noticed some things about you. And the little girl said, well, I'm nobody special. She looked at her, her regular old tennis shoes and her regular old shirt and said, there's nothing that special about me. And the painter said, no, absolutely there's something special about you. There is no one else exactly like you. There is only one person exactly like you. Because that counts for you too.
Yeah, but you're not looking at anyone else.
And, sometimes we go through the world and there's people all around us, but we just see their clothes or their hair or their shoes. Yeah, sometimes if we're lucky, we look at their eyes. But we don't see the other things. We don't see maybe the joy on their face, their capacity for love, the hurts, the stories that they're bringing with them. But if we stop and keep that in mind, if we notice for ourselves, so one of the things that we can do is slow down and notice. And I'm going to tell you the very last part of the story that the painter taught to the little girl. It's kind of funny, because one day the little girl came to see the painter, and the painter was sitting there closing her eyes. And the little girl said, what are you doing? She said, well, sometimes I notice the best things when I just sit and I close my eyes. You want to try that just for 10 seconds? So sometimes when you sit and you close your eyes, you notice the things that you hear. You notice the air on your skin. You notice your shoes in your feet. Your shoes do your feet in your shoes. Your feet do a lot of hard work all day. Or you notice the things in your mind, the stories, the pictures, the dragons flying around in your mind. If you stop and take the time to notice. And the very end of the story is the little girl thinking about the painter who's been gone for a very long time. The little girl's all grown up, and she thinks about, well, she appreciates that the paint told her all these things, and the painter showed her this new way to see. The thing she wishes she could thank the painter most for was that she saw the little girl, that she felt seen by the painter. And that's the end of the story. And we're gonna go downstairs and
Can I keep the
do our,
star?
come on, you can.
No, why can't I keep it forever? I want it. Can I keep it forever?
May your mind be open to learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands to the work of justice as you go your way in peace. May your mind be open to learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands to the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
Carol Fensel, please come forward. This is a Split the Plate Sunday, and Carol's going to tell us about our organization.
Hello, my name is Carol Fensel, and I've been a member of St. John's for a long time, and I've also been associated with Cranes to Computers for a long time, not quite as long. Some of you may remember back when we used to do the push for pencils when Elizabeth Wilson was DRE. So this is the same organization, but it's continued to grow and change as the teachers' needs and the children's needs have changed over the years. I'm just going to tell you the practicalities before I introduce Amy. You're going to have an chance in the offering, and just in case you've forgotten, if you happen to have a $20 bill that you've gotten from your ATM, you can put that in. If you just put the $20 bill in, half will go to St. John's and half will go to the Split the Plate, which this month is Cranes to Computers. Those of you that are at home, you can look at the directions online. If you have an envelope, you can put it in the envelope and say you want all of your $20 to go to St. John's or all to go to Cranes to Computers. Or if you write a check, if you put directions in the bottom line, that's what will tell Nancy Greenlee how to divide your check. 100% for the church, 100% to Cranes to Computers, or if you don't have anything in the line, she'll split it. That's what we do on Split the Plate. Now, let me tell you about Amy. Amy has been director of Cranes to Computers for a number of years, and she's helped it grow and expand in new ways, responding to the changes that have been happening. So.
Thank you, Carol. And thank you all for the invitation for me to come and be with you today, and for selecting to put your January Split the Plate towards the benefit of area teachers and their students in need. I want you to maybe close your eyes, but I want you to imagine with me for just a minute. Imagine that you're 8 years old and you are going to school for the first day of the school year. And you go into your classroom and you find your desk and you look around and you see other students with brand new backpacks, and they're pulling out new notebooks and sharpened pencils and a fresh box of crayons and a brand new pink eraser without any smudges on it yet. And you look at your desk and there's nothing there because your family is struggling with the barriers that are put in place by poverty, and that your parents couldn't afford to send school supplies with you for the first day of school. You're not even sure you're gonna have a lunch that day. Imagine how you would feel if you are that 8-year-old child. You're at the beginning of a school year of 9 or 10 months long, you're looking into the future, and you know you're gonna have homework to do, and you know you're gonna have art projects and science projects and math homework, and how are you gonna do that? You don't even have a pencil. The reality is that the need is great. Unfortunately, Cincinnati and the greater Cincinnati area is one of the poorest cities in our country. We know from census data that nearly 20% of children across our region are living in poverty, and in the city of Cincinnati, that number approaches 45% of children that struggle from barriers from poverty. We also know that 94% of teachers will spend $500 or more out of their own pocket every single year to provide basic items for their classrooms. And I can't imagine being in any career where you have to pay for all the basic things that you need to be able to do your job. Crayons to Computers was established in 1997 to address this. Our mission is to level the playing field in the classroom by ensuring that teachers can provide their students in need the tools to succeed in school. It's very, very simple. Today, we serve teachers in schools across 16 counties, where 55% or more of the student population is benefiting from the free and reduced lunch program. This 16-county area includes 6 counties in Southwest Ohio and 7 in Northern Kentucky. Today, our programs have grown from our original and flagship program of the Teacher Resource Center, or the STORE, to also include online ordering, which became a necessity during COVID. Our newest program is Hubbard's Cupboards, which provides an in-school cupboard stocked with basic school supplies, hygiene items, and through our partnership with the Sam Hubbard Foundation, healthy snacks that are available on site for emergency needs as they arise for children and teachers during the day. Beyond those distribution programs, we also have a program called Crafts with Conviction, which is almost as old as the organization is. And through this program, we work with about 16 prisons and juvenile detention facilities in the state of Ohio and provide raw materials to their community service programs that the inmates then turn into products that we can distribute through the store and our other distribution items. It helps, gives teachers an edge, things that are already prepared and packaged and ready for them to use. We have a program called Keep Our Kids Warm. So if any of you are knitters or crocheters and have given something to all of your family members, but you still want to knit or crochet and you need an outlet, let us know. We can hook you up with that. We do provide handmade scarves, hats, and mittens in the store from right before Thanksgiving until usually late January or early February, and often can provide yarn if anyone is living on a fixed income and can't afford to buy the yarn anymore. Although we know lots of knitters and crocheters have quite the supply. We've also been doing a lot of work in the last few years in early literacy to support preschool to third grade, ensuring that children get a good start with literacy, since that is the basis for all learning. From our regular survey of teachers, we know a lot of things, but I'll share just a couple of items with you this morning. We know that when supplies are made available in the classroom, 91% of teachers saw more engagement from their students. They have the basic things that they need to be able to be involved in the educational process. 83% of teachers saw the self-esteem of their students increase. And 97% of teachers have told us that they are able to enrich their students' learning experience through the materials and supplies that they receive through Crayons to Computers. Your support makes a difference for area teachers and their students in need. I invite you to consider coming for a visit to see what your support makes possible. Just reach out to Crayons to Computers or give us a call. You can find all that contact information on our website. And again, I want to thank you on behalf of local teachers and their students in need.
A very worthy organization. I hope you are able to contribute generously. Our offering words today are by Reverend Erica Hewitt. The offering that we take each Sunday isn't just a stale habit. It's an opportunity to recommit to this place and to these people and to this community. Our offering is an affirmation, a yes. When we give, we say yes to something we value. With our gifts given freely, may we say yes to the values of our faith. May our offering help us practice Unitarian Universalism within and beyond our congregation as tools to empower our mission. St. John's is committed to creating a safe and caring community, working for peace and social justice, and celebrating beliefs that respect freedom of thought.
Good morning. It's a pleasure and my honor to be here with you today at St. John's, and I want to express my gratitude to Jen Grayson for preaching at my church in Anderson Township today and for taking part in this morning's pulpit exchange. This was once a common practice among Unitarian Universalist ministers, and I hope this might mark the start of some more Cincinnati-wide pulpit sharing. Those of you who are already familiar with me know that the focus of my ministry in the past several years has been end-of-life work. I am deeply moved by and privileged to accompany individuals and families as they face the end of life and the transition into whatever may lie beyond this life. And my work includes, of course, founding and managing Heritage Acres Memorial Sanctuary, the tri-state region's only natural cemetery and green burial ground. And as a result of this type of ministry, some have taken to calling me Reverend Death. But I assure you that death is not all I think about or preach about, though today it will be most of what I talk about. Today I come to you with the Latin reminder, memento mori, remember that you will die. May you use that knowledge to your advantage to make the most of this beautiful, wonder-filled life that you have and that we share. I begin today with two short readings. The first is from Canadian hospice worker and death and dying advocate Stephen Jenkinson, taken from his book, Die Wise, A Manifesto for Sanity and Soul. Jenkinson writes, "Imagine this, if you will. You're kibitzing with a few acquaintances about making a big financial decision or quitting smoking or doing something risky. And you're fretting about whether it will work out well, how much sense it even makes for you to even consider doing it, whatever it is. When suddenly someone offers this thought, well, everybody's going to die anyway. Kind of brings the whole thing to a crashing halt, doesn't it? What usually happens when someone announces this obvious truth? Does it give us some kind of painful, obvious victory over the vagaries of life? Do you feel encouraged to go ahead and take that risk? Or do you sit back in your chair and think, well, thank God I wasn't sure about that one? Does it pave the way for peace of mind? Does it feather the nest of your dreams for your life? Does it help you to get your priorities straight or give you a compass with which to chart your path through the remainder of your days? The sad fact is, it does none of this for most people, as far as I can tell. But it should. Most of the time, most of us will agree with the simple factual pronouncement that we are all going to die. Most of the time, when someone blurts out, everybody's going to die, nothing much happens. And I submit to you that this is the great poverty of our common days, that when the story of the ending of our days is told ahead of time, nothing seems to happen and nothing seems to change. But it should. Something should happen and something should change when we know we are going to die. The second reading is from Mary Oliver, who's often called in our congregations the poet laureate of Unitarian Universalism, even though she was not a Unitarian Universalist. Such is the frequency with which she is quoted in our worship services, such is the depth of how much she resonates with us. The following short poem by Mary Oliver is titled, I Worried. I worried a lot. Will the garden grow? Will the rivers flow in the right direction? Will the earth turn as it was taught? And if not, how shall I correct it? Was I right? Was I wrong? Will I be forgiven? Can I do better? Will I ever be able to sing? Even the sparrows can do that, but I am, well, hopeless. Is my eyesight failing, or am I just imagining it? Am I going to get rheumatism, lockjaw, dementia? Finally, I saw that worrying had come to nothing, and I gave it up. I took my old body and went out into the morning, and I sang. Well, we're not going to sing right now. We'll save that for later, but I hope that you can appreciate the sentiment, the courage and the conviction that it might take to sing, as Mary Oliver undeniably did through her poetry, and apparently on that particular morning with her vocal cords as well, to sing about the beauty and wonder of a new day dawning. And I hope you'll appreciate as well the song that we're about to listen to and the images that we're about to see from the remarkable singer-songwriter Carrie Newcomer. This is titled Every Little Bit of It.
Just beyond my sight, something that I cannot see. I've been circling round a thought that's been circling round me, like the vapor of a song that is just out of earshot. I thought I knew the question, but I guess not. There it is, just below the surface of things, in a flash of blue, and the turning of wings. I drain the glass, I drink it down, every moment of this, every little bit of it. Swam against the tide, I tripped on my own pride. So I'll try again today to get out of my own way. The face was always in the stone, said Michelangelo. You just have to chip and clear to see what is already there. There it is, just below the surface of things, in a flash of blue, and the turning of wings. I drain the glass, drink it down, every moment of this, every little bit of it. There it is, in the apple of every new notion. There it is, in the scar here, over what was broken, in the branches, in the whispering, in the silence and the sighs, and the curious promise of limited time. Although it's hard, a shadow glides over the ridge, and one fast beating heart tries with all its might to live. And we sense but can't describe, from the corner of our eye, something nameless and abiding. And so we keep transcribing. There it is, just below the surface of things, in a flash of blue, and the turning of wings. I drain the glass, drink it down, every moment of this, every little bit of it. Every little bit.
Took the title of today's sermon, The Curious Promise of Limited Time, from a line in that lovely song by Carrie Newcomer. Did you catch that phrase, the curious promise of limited time, when she sang it? Or did it simply slip by almost unnoticed and amid the seemingly more pressing ideas and images, sort of like much of the beauty and the wonder of our world slips by us day after day as the days themselves slip by? I find that most of us, myself included, are like that little girl at the beginning of the story that was shared this morning, not really noticing, much less appreciating the clouds as they too slip by, pushed by the wind in the sky above. But wouldn't it be better, wouldn't it be a deeper, richer, more profound experience, this life, if we could learn from the painter in that story and follow the painter's lead? Noticing what's around us, using our imaginations to enliven every little bit of it. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, author of the international bestseller On Death and Dying, put it this way: it is only when we truly know and understand that we have a limited time on earth, and further that we have no way of knowing when that time will be up, that we can begin to live each day to the fullest as if it were the only day we had. By now you have probably surmised that I spend more time perhaps than the average bear reading about and thinking about death, and pondering the inconvenient truth that one day I and everyone I know and love will be dead. So maybe it's no surprise to hear that I was fascinated a couple of years back when I came across in my internet wanderings the following blog post by someone calling themselves Jeremiah. Now, this was written by my calculation, because it was already several years old when I encountered it, near the end of the presidency of Barack Obama. And Jeremiah wrote, "I am going to die on Saturday, December 19th, 2052. This is according to something called Death Clock, which says I have less than 38 years to live. That's 1,190,073,423 seconds as I write this. Oh wait, there go a few more seconds. So why do I continue to feel like I am immortal? Why do I feel somehow special and exempt? Like I have plenty of time to accomplish everything I'm here to do? Truth is, I don't have as much time as I want. None of us do. The truth is, life is a limited time offer, and the expiration date is always ticking closer. Sure, I've had my moments of clarity. They mostly come at funerals. Moments when I understand that I don't have forever to get my ass in gear, to go out and live my life. In those moments, I tell myself that I've got to focus on only on the most important things. No more wasting time, no more regrets. It's kind of like a New Year's resolution. But then soon enough, I leave the cemetery. I go back home, and I forget. I forget about the books I'm here to write, the adventures I'm here to live, the relationships I'm here to love and be loved in. I forget about my purpose. I forget until the next funeral." That's the blog post. The curious promise of limited time indeed. But if you were paying attention, you'll have noticed that the death clock algorithm, and more on that in a moment, predicted that Jeremiah's limited time offer of life would expire sometime near the end of 2052. Now, I don't know about you, and maybe I do as I look around the sanctuary, but that seems like a nice long horizon to me, from where I stand anyway. Because I don't expect to still be around in 2052. If I were, I'd be 94 years old, and I assure you that given my genes and my family history, that would be a miracle. But should you or I live to see 2052, and I can tell that some of you probably will, one thing is certain. We would be offered many, many more days in which to live and enjoy. So the real question is, what will we do with and make of those days that are left to us, however many there may be? Now, of course, this Death Clock website is in no way an accurate predictor of exactly when one's life will end. In fact, if it were, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you today. I suppose you knew, didn't you, that as soon as I finished reading Jeremiah's post, I went and Googled this thing and typed in some data, just for fun, of course, to find out when I will die. Imagine my surprise after I hit enter when a notice appeared on my screen with a drawing of a perky little skull and crossbones and said, "Sorry, your time has already expired." It seems that Death Clock, after calculating my age and gender and BMI, and probably most importantly, my family history and some information about my personality type and my attitudes about things, concluded that I should have died on Monday, December 2nd, 2013, a little more than a decade ago. Now, that declaration by a silly online calculator that was probably more likely not just a data mining tool, let me warn you, gave me a lot to think about. December 2nd, 2013. Now, thanks to my compulsive record keeping, which no doubt will have the added effect of shortening my lifespan a bit, thanks to my compulsive record keeping, I was able to go back and look at what I was doing on December 2nd, 2013, an otherwise ordinary, long since forgotten late fall day. It was the week after Thanksgiving weekend. Apparently Thanksgiving was very late that year. And our son Patrick was about halfway through his senior year at Walnut Hills High School. My calendar from that day indicates that he had both school and work. It also says that in the morning, I hosted a meeting of UU ministers from around Cincinnati at Heritage Church, including your minister at the time. And then that evening, we had a worship committee meeting at church. Would I have died before that evening meeting? Before both meetings? Later in the night? Death Clock doesn't offer that degree of detail. Looking back a couple of days prior, however, just to see what my final days might have been like, I saw that 2013 happened to be one of those years in which we host our out-of-town family and friends for Thanksgiving. We tend to do it on odd-numbered years. So these people had just departed from Cincinnati, from our house, the previous weekend. Now, this family tradition has long been one of the highlights of my life, Thanksgiving with beloveds whom we don't get to see or spend nearly enough time with. Or maybe it's not don't get to see and spend nearly enough time with. Maybe it's don't make the time to see and spend time with. I found a picture of all 10 of us from that year, which included my niece and her little son, who turned 18 yesterday, by the way. They and our best friends and other loved ones were all dressed up and smiling at the camera, a moment in time caught in pixels, a moment in limited time. And if that had been the last photo ever taken of me, if that had been my last weekend, it would have been a pretty darn good one indeed. But it wasn't my time just then, not yet. In the 10 years since then, I have a certain way of measuring time that's based again on our son. So in the 10 years since then, he has grown up, gone to college, graduated, lived in New Zealand for a year and a half, come back home for a year and a half because of COVID, moved to Hawaii for a year, and has now lived and worked in Southeast Asia for almost 2 years. Talk about somebody who's making the most of the curious promise of limited time that the life he has been given offers. Needless to say, my son is an inspiration to me, someone I can both admire from afar and someone whom I have to acknowledge I will never be able to actually emulate. Few of us ever could or would live like Patrick does, yet when I tell folks about his lifestyle, they invariably say something like, well, do it while you can, which is kind of another version of, we're all going to die anyway. Or sometimes people will go wistfully, oh, to be young again. While I agree with those sentiments, the fact is I don't know anyone who actually did that while they could. I don't know a lot of folks who ever could have lived the way he's lived the past several years, traveling around the world. Nor do I think many of us really would, even if we could. Comfort and security, community and normalcy are just too inviting for most people. They certainly are for me. But that doesn't mean we don't each have the amazing, the wondrous, the exotic right here where we are. The trick, the true challenge of being human and temporarily alive is to notice, to be the artist of our own life, to see castles in the clouds, to see, in Blake's words, infinity in the palm of your hand. The artist in that book, there's a quote from the artist in that little children's book that said, the more you pause and allow for the extraordinary, the more you will see it. And it's true. What else, where else but in the ordinary shall we see the extraordinary? Where else but in limited time might we experience the timeless? Of course, that is easier said than done, this making the most of the curious promise of limited time. Stephen Jenkinson, whom I quoted earlier in first reading, is the subject of an award-winning documentary titled Grief Walker. And he speaks about a concept that is deeply woven into the fabric of our North American culture, something he calls the dream of more time. Perhaps you could tell from the way I said that when he writes, he capitalizes the M in more and the T in time. That's how significant more time is. He says that in his previous career as a program director of palliative care at a major metropolitan hospital, he came up with this idea of more time, noticing that those who were dying, and also those who were treating them and working with them, were keenly focused on getting more time. That, it seemed, was the goal, the only real goal, more time. There was constant, explicit and implicit bargaining going on with God, with medical technology, with the healthcare system to achieve this more time. And then he tells the story of a middle-aged woman who had been diagnosed with cancer, who underwent multiple aggressive treatments and experimental surgeries, and against all statistical odds, actually got that cherished, elusive more time. 10 years more time, in fact. Sort of like I got 10 years more time from death clock. But after 10 years, this woman's cancer came back. And it was deja vu as she tried all over again, ever more desperately, to buy even more time. But the thing that broke Jenkinson's heart was when he spoke with her and learned that the woman had so many regrets about how she had spent the 10 years of more time that she had already miraculously been given. She had not, it seems, taken her new lease on life and made the best use of the curious promise of her still limited time. Friends, I don't want to be like that woman, and I don't want you to be like that woman. I want us. I desperately want us to look to this day. I want us to seize this day, carpe diem, to drink it in, to drink in the beauty of this crisp winter morning with its snowy brilliance, to look into the eyes of a friend or a loved one, whomever they may be, and tell them that we love them. You know, those are three of the most important words in the world, right? I love you. They're kind of hard to say. Why don't you practice it now? You're not saying it to anybody, just saying it to the air. I love you. Or if you prefer, you are loved. At Heritage Church, we say those words frequently because they are very important words. They are life-changing words. And I sure would hope to have them be my last words when that time comes. So while there's still time, tell folks that you love them. Tell them as if it's your last goodbye. This morning, my message to you, and therefore, of course, my message to myself, is to lean hard into the curious promise that is our limited time. It was Unitarian Universalist minister and theologian Forrester Church who said, "Religion is the human response to being alive and knowing that we will die." So since today is Sunday, let's get a little religious. Let's have a human response to the curious promise of limited time. And since my time in the pulpit here is limited today, I'm going to take a couple of my remaining minutes, let's say 2 minutes of your and my limited time, to ask you to reflect on how you might use that curious promise of your limited time. Let's take 2 minutes out of the rest of our lives to be silent together here in this remarkable sanctuary. Maybe you'll choose to look around this space. Maybe you'll choose to focus on one particular flame, one particular thing, the flame in the chalice, a certain color or certain fabric, the beautiful artwork. Maybe you'll close your eyes like the painter did and focus on an internal image. Maybe you'll think back to something you've heard or seen or felt this morning, something you've noticed. And if you're online right now, I always like to talk to the folks online too. I encourage you to participate with us. There's something powerful about doing a difficult thing with others, and I know that this is strangely difficult work. One last thing, I recognize that in a group of this size, we bring widely varying amounts of limited time to this moment together, whether that's because of age or health or medical diagnosis. Our time is marked out differently. But these next 2 minutes are for you. Make of them what you need them to be. Let this be a very private, very personal experience, a reflection not only on your own limited time, but on the promise, the curious promise, the potential, the possibilities inherent in that time. So I invite you to do this reflecting here, now, in a safe, loving, and supportive space. The curious promise of these limited times that we have together. now invite you back from wherever your thoughts have taken you, back to this moment, back to the promise that is this breath, here in this space and time with this gathered company. I look forward to hearing from you maybe what you saw, what you thought about, what you reflected on in those 2 minutes. 2 minutes can be a long time if you're being mindful. As we continue throughout our day and into our week, may we continue to remember the preciousness and the curious promise of the limited time that we have. May we make the most of that time in the week ahead. Live well, my friends, live well. Amen.
We have some announcements. You'll see in your order of service the following announcements. The book study, Transforming Conflict by Teresa Cooley. There will be 4 Tuesdays from January 23rd to February 13th at 7 p.m. for, I believe that is a online discussion. An in-gathering for St. John's LGBTQ plus community members on February 2nd at 6 p.m. And there are links for more information in your order of service. And the men's group meets February 4th at 7 p.m. Contact Tom Darner if you have questions. No, it starts at 6 p.m. Program starts at 7. Do want to let you know today is a Soup and Bread Sunday. We have 10 soups for you to enjoy today, so please stay for lunch immediately following the service. And yes, please come up.
So as Melissa said, today is our Soup and Bread Lunch sponsored by our Partner Church program. This is our opportunity to gather in community and nourishment. We love our time here, and it also is in the spirit of our community with Partner Church. So, and some of the soups that we have today, we have chili, broccoli cheddar, minestrone, corn chowder, bean soup, vegan corn and sweet potato, can't wait, vegan and vegetarian, so I hope you all join us. Also, one other announcement, we have 3 lunches left for the year. The next one was scheduled on March 3rd, but that date is being changed. We are moving up a week. The next Soup and Bread will be February 25th, and that is so we can help support kicking off our annual pledge campaign. That's why that got moved, and that way we can all join together for many reasons. So thank you all. I'll see you shortly.
Thank you, Mary Lynn.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that Nikki has a performance. It's a Chinese New Year celebration, January 26th. What is the time? 6 p.m. you said? 8 p.m. Okay, at Xavier. And we have a flyer. Yeah, we'll put up a poster, and then I think we'll also be sending it out. So thank you.
Please stand as you're willing and able for hymn 311, Let It Be a Dance.
Let it
benediction words this morning come from the 5th century Hindu poet Kalidasa. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the joy of action, and the splendor of beauty. Yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow only a vision, but today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. May it be so, and amen.